The courtroom is eerily quiet, the kind of silence where the only sound is the heavy thud of your own heartbeat. There stands Jay, just a 16-year-old boy, facing a judge who holds his future in her hands. This moment feels heavy, the air thick with anticipation. Everyone in Falls City, Washington, knows why they're here. It's been months since that terrible morning in October 2024 when everything changed. You can almost see the weight of that day on Jay's young shoulders, his eyes fixed on the floor, unable to meet anyone's gaze. The judge looks at him, her expression unreadable, a mask of justice. Around them, the courtroom holds its breath, each person caught up in their own memories of that morning when gunshots shattered the peace of their small town. The echo of those shots, once a sound of terror, now whispers through the courtroom, a reminder of the day a family was shattered, leaving behind a community struggling to heal. As the judge prepares to speak, the room feels the weight of loss, the sting of betrayal, and the urgent need for answers. How could a boy, once a part of their daily lives, be at the center of such darkness? Flashback to that awful morning, the sun barely up, when the peace of Falls City was shattered. It was a typical day until gunfire ripped through the quiet, a jarring cacophony against the backdrop of morning routines. Neighbors, startled, heard the shots, their confusion quickly turning to fear. One by one, they dialed 911, their voices shaky, describing the unimaginable gunshots from the Hudson family's home. The first responders arrived to a scene of chaos. The front door was ajar, an eerie silence greeting them, the kind that screams of tragedy. With heavy hearts, they moved through the house, knowing what they might find. And there it was, the grim discovery of a family torn apart, lives stolen in the space of a breath. The air was thick with sorrow, the officers' faces set in grim determination as they secured the scene. But amidst this horror, there was a flicker of hope. The youngest Hudson, an 11-year-old girl. She had been there, in the midst of it all. Playing dead, she lay silent, her heart racing, listening to the footsteps of her nightmare moving away. When she was sure it was safe, she ran. Ran with all the strength her small body could muster, out of that house of nightmares, to a neighbor's door, her silent plea for help louder than any shout. Her bravery was her salvation, and it was also the key that began to unlock the mystery of what happened inside those walls. She was the witness the town needed, the voice that would speak of the moments that changed everything. Her escape was not just a flight to safety, it was the first step towards justice, a beacon in the darkest times for Falls City. Rewind the clock to see the Hudson family as they once were, a picture of happiness and faith. Sunday mornings would find them at the local church, their voices mingling with hymns, their smiles bright in the sunlight streaming through stained glass. They were fixtures in Falls City, a community where everyone knew your name, and the Hudsons were known for their kindness, their faith, and their togetherness. Mark Hudson, the father, was the steady hand, a man who worked hard at the local hardware store, always ready with a word of advice or a helping hand for neighbors. His laughter was a common sound at community barbecues, a testament to his love for life and family. Sarah, his wife, was the heart of the home, her warmth evident in how she welcomed everyone into their lives. She was often seen at school events, her involvement a reflection of her love for her children and the community. Their children, each a light in their own way. The eldest, a thoughtful teenager with dreams of becoming a writer, was often seen volunteering at the library, his quiet nature belying a deep compassion. The middle child, full of energy and laughter, was the sports enthusiast, his achievements on the field a source of community pride. And then there was the youngest, the 11-year-old girl, with a smile that could light up any room, her innocence and joy infectious, her love for her family apparent in every hug and giggle. Together, they were the epitome of family, their bond evident in how they moved through life, attending church, participating in community events, and simply being there for each other. Their love was the kind that seemed to radiate, painting a picture of normalcy and faith, a stark contrast to the darkness that would later envelop them. This was the Hudson family before the world knew their name for a reason that would break hearts and change a town forever. Return to the crime scene, where the air still holds the weight of tragedy. Forensic teams move with precision, each step calculated, each piece of evidence crucial. They dust for fingerprints, photograph the scene from every angle, and collect shell casings with gloved hands. The house, once a sanctuary, now tells a story of violence. Among the chaos, they find signs of a staged scene, a bloodied knife placed near one of the victims, suggesting an attempt to frame another sibling. But the true narrative begins to unfold with the discovery of the family gun, a key piece of evidence, found not in its usual locked safe, but discarded in haste. The gun, registered to Mark Hudson, was the weapon used, its serial number matching the bullets that ended lives. This firearm, once used for protection or sport, now a silent witness to murder. The staging to frame another sibling suggested premeditation, a thought for those who knew the family. Then there was Jay's arrest. The moment was surreal, like watching a scene from a movie no one wanted to see. Jay, the boy who had played with other children in these very streets, was detained. His 911 call, placed in the aftermath, was filled with panic, his voice cracking as he reported a break-in, a story that would soon unravel. The police, piecing together the puzzle, found discrepancies. His story didn't match the physical evidence, the timeline was off, and his demeanor was too calm for someone whose family had just been attacked. As officers handcuffed him, the community watched in stunned silence. Neighbors and friends, who had seen Jay grow up, were grappling with disbelief. The shock was palpable, conversations hushed as people tried to reconcile the boy they knew with the crime he was accused of. Initial interviews with Jay were tense, his answers guarded, his eyes avoiding those of the officers. He spoke of intruders, of chaos, but the forensic evidence, the staged scene, and his own actions painted a different picture. The investigation continued, with each new piece of evidence, each interview, bringing the community closer to understanding the unimaginable. The town was left to process this tragedy. The pain deepened not by understanding but by the stark reality of a family once whole, now torn asunder by one of their own. Flash forward to the days following the tragedy, where the community of Falls City tried to heal. Vigils were held, candles lit in the crisp night air, a sea of light for lives lost too soon. People gathered not just to mourn but to find solace in each other, sharing the burden of grief. Community meetings became common, spaces where neighbors voiced their sorrow, anger, and confusion. How could this happen in their town? The question hung heavy, leading to discussions on safety, mental health, and the accessibility of guns. Advocates for stricter gun control found their voices amplified, the tragedy a stark reminder of what could go wrong when weapons fall into the wrong hands. In the legal sphere, the case moved to juvenile court, where the debate over Jay's trial was as heated as any courtroom drama. Should he be tried as an adult, facing the full weight of the law, or as a juvenile, with a chance for rehabilitation? The courtroom was packed, the air charged with emotion. Lawyers argued, their words echoing the community's division. The prosecution painted a picture of premeditation and cold calculation, pushing for an adult trial, while the defense spoke of a troubled youth, a product of circumstances beyond his control, needing guidance rather than punishment. The emotional testimony from Jay's 11-year-old sister was a pivotal moment. Her voice, small but clear, recounted her fear, her escape, her loss. Her words painted a vivid picture of the morning's terror, her bravery in the face of death, and the love she had for her family, including Jay, despite everything. Her testimony moved many, tears in the eyes of jurors, spectators, even the judge, as she spoke of a brother she still loved, yet could not comprehend. Others took the stand, friends, teachers, neighbors, each adding layers to the narrative. They spoke of Jay's life before, his potential, his struggles, trying to reconcile the boy they knew with the crime he was accused of. The courtroom became a microcosm of the community's struggle to judge or to understand, to punish or to heal. This legal debate, set against the backdrop of a grieving town, highlighted not just the tragedy of one family but the broader questions about justice, responsibility, and the impact of such violence on a community's soul. Falls City was changed, now navigating the painful path of recovery, with the hope that from such darkness, some light might eventually emerge. Beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic family, there might have been currents of turmoil, the kind that often go unseen by the outside world. From an omniscient perspective, one can only speculate on what might have simmered under the Hudson's roof. Financial stress could have been a silent visitor. Perhaps the hardware store wasn't doing as well as Mark Hudson let on, with bills piling up like leaves in autumn. Maybe the facade of affluence was just that, a facade, with debts hidden away in the dark corners of their home. Such pressures can change people, strain relationships, and twist love into something unrecognizable. Then there was the turmoil of adolescence. Jay, like many teenagers, might have been grappling with his identity, his place in the world, or the weight of expectations. Teenage angst, often dismissed as mere mood swings, can sometimes lead to darker paths when mixed with feelings of isolation or misunderstanding. Could there have been arguments, the kind that leave scars on the heart, where words spoken in heat become echoes of regret? Or perhaps there were deeper, darker secrets. Family dynamics can house shadows, secrets of the past, unspoken truths, or silent battles with personal demons. Was there a history of mental health issues, perhaps not spoken about, not dealt with, but living in the shadows? Or could it be something more sinister, a secret so profound it could fracture a family, a truth so heavy it could lead to unthinkable acts? These are not statements of fact, but whispers of possibilities, the undercurrents that might have flowed through the Hudson household. From this distance, all we can do is speculate, paint with broad strokes the potential hidden layers of human life. The truth of what lay beneath might forever remain known only to those within those walls, a mystery as deep as the tragedy that unfolded. Back in the present, the courtroom is the stage for the trial's climax. The defense steps forward, weaving a narrative filled with empathy, painting Jay not as a monster but as a troubled youth lost in the labyrinth of adolescence. They speak of a boy who made a grave mistake, not an adult with malicious intent. Evidence of Jay's struggles is brought forth, school records showing a decline, testimonies from counselors about his battles with depression or anxiety, perhaps even alluding to family issues not fully aired in public. They argue for a chance at rehabilitation, not condemnation, emphasizing the juvenile justice system's aim to reform rather than merely punish. Contrastingly, the prosecution stands firm, their argument sharp and unyielding. They lay out a timeline of deliberate actions, the gun taken from the safe, the staging of the scene, the calculated moves of someone who knew exactly what they were doing. They present Jay as someone who chose violence, who planned it with calculated precision, arguing for accountability through an adult trial where the consequences would match the severity of the crime. They remind the court of the lives lost, the family shattered, and the community's right to justice. The tension in the room is palpable as both sides conclude. Then comes the moment of truth, the verdict. The judge, after considering the nuanced balance of the juvenile justice system, takes a deep breath. The room quiets to a whisper, everyone leaning forward, as if trying to hear the future. With measured words, the judge decides, Jay will be tried in juvenile court. The decision reflects the belief in potential rehabilitation, the acknowledgement of youth's complexities, and perhaps a glimmer of hope for redemption. But it's not without its conditions: strict oversight, mandatory psychological evaluation, and a path that, if not followed, could still lead to an adult trial. The verdict brings a mix of sighs, tears, and the rustle of movement as people process this outcome. The courtroom, once a battleground of arguments, now holds a moment of collective reflection. It's not closure, not by far, but a step towards understanding how justice might look in the shadow of such profound loss. The trial's climax, while providing a decision, leaves much to ponder about justice, youth, and the long road to healing. Reflecting on the long-term impact, the journey for the surviving sister is one of shadows and light. Her path forward is paved with trauma but also with the resilience of youth, her story a testament to the human capacity to heal, even if the scars remain. Fall City, too, begins its healing, a process that's slow and uneven, marked by community support groups, memorials, and a new vigilance in addressing mental health and family dynamics. The trial opens broader questions about juvenile justice. Can a system truly rehabilitate, or does it sometimes merely delay punishment? The case sparks discussions on mental health, urging a look beyond the surface of family life to the struggles hidden within. It's a stark reminder of how family violence can erupt from silent struggles, challenging communities to be more observant, supportive, and proactive. Closing thoughts linger on the profound truth that one act can alter a community irrevocably. Fall City will never be the same, its fabric changed by this tragedy. This story serves as a call to all, to delve deeper into understanding human nature, to question the systems designed to protect us, and to advocate for change where change is needed. We are reminded that behind every headline, there are lives, complexities, and the endless quest for justice and healing in the face of darkness. Subscribe for more stories that delve into the human psyche, the pursuit of justice, and the mysteries that remain. Like, share, and comment your thoughts. Let's keep the conversation going.